Good evening, everybody, and welcome to another edition of the Sports Exchange. Following a good Act Pundit's Pundit, my name is Scott Morgan, Rock the Motor City Madmouth, with our Wednesday crew tonight. And I'm going to start off with Rick Curdy. Welcome back, round 2 out of 3 with you, Mr. Curdy.
Thanks, guys. How are you guys doing?
Doing real well. Jacob Christner, long time no see, all about a minute.
Oh, a whole minute and a half.
Yeah, my goodness. Holy moly. Can't say I miss you because it's only been a minute and a half.
How can you miss you? Just like Jim Cornette says, how can you miss you when you don't go away?
Yeah, exactly. Yeah, no kidding. And JB Ellis, well, we've been on the phone today. Now we're making it face to face. Welcome back to the big show, Mr. Ellis.
How's it going tonight, guys?
All right. Good. And last but not least, Candy Ebling, the master controller here at the network, and then some. Welcome back, Candy.
Thanks, Scott. Great to be here.
All right, I'll give you an overview of what we're talking about tonight. Yes, there will be some Final Four conversation wrapped into this whole thing as well. So I just want to make sure that we cover that while we talk about some NFL, Tom Brady, and we have the Sports Town of the Week. And just to let you guys know ahead of time, the Sports Town of the Week will be in Atlanta. Well, that's a very familiar place, right, Jacob?
Where's that?
Yeah, I don't know. I wonder. Depends on what time I usually cross through I-75 if I want to know where I don't know. But anyways, that's the week. So, all right, let's get to it. Confidential following us afterwards. 3 teams making the Final Four for the first time. Parity, FAU, Miami, San Diego State, and the one that had been there before is Connecticut. So the question is will Cinderella emerge from Houston? All right, Rick Curdy, what you got?
I would love to see a Cinderella team. I would love to see FAU win it from Boca Raton. You know, they got a new head coach in Tom Herman. I love that hire. And so they're the big Cinderella story. You know, I like San Diego State too, and Miami and Connecticut, but I'm really pulling for FAU. And I want to see a team that nobody expected. Nobody had FAU going to the Final Four. If they did, they're liars. I'd like to see FAU win it.
What about you, Jacob?
Well, you know something that you want to know who had FAU going to the Final Four? Somebody that doesn't know a heck of a lot of basketball who love the colors of the jerseys. It's just, it doesn't matter what the thing is, because they said like 30. The reason I brought that up is because like 30 brackets had like the Final Four that they had. That was probably just eeny, meeny, miny, mo, or colors or whatever, you know. You can't get it any other way. No one can do that by logic. But let me tell you this. It's going to be wonderful to see, and you notice something? The ratings whatsoever they have not gone down. Usually they go down after a few rounds because people don't want to see the lower rounds once they win. Not this time. The Blue Bloods are not dominating the ratings anymore, so that's the big thing. But I want to give a shout out to the 2 new coaches, you know, that from Kansas State and Texas, and Rodney Terry especially from Texas, who they took over. They did wonderfully, and they got to the Elite 8, and now they got jobs. You know, and it's like sometimes guess what? Taking an interim, I talked to coaches before. Taking an interim job is a risk, because if you don't go through, you lose that job. You lose the job you originally had. Because the person that took over doesn't want you, you're a threat. So it's a risk to take an interim job, but they both bet on themselves and they both made it. Now they're both going to get paid, and they both got jobs now, and I'm happy for them.
All right. So my question to you is this: okay, of these 4, who do you want to? I like you're trying to be Barry Sanders.
Let's go with FAU. Let's go with FAU. I'll have fun with that.
You're trying to play a Barry Sanders and dodge my question. I'm too smart for that, Christopher. Nice try.
Candy, is he too smart for that?
Yeah, I'm Frank Reynolds. Okay, we're here to get it right. Don't you forget. Okay, blah, blah, blah. All right, JB, where are you going with these 4?
Listen, the day of the Blue Bloods is done. It's one and done. These guys go to school and leave. You got the NILs now. College basketball is a mess. It's parity at its best. Congratulations to these 4 teams. People did have FAU. They were 30-3 throughout the year. Best record in college. You know, it's not college basketball that we grew up with, where you're going to see North Carolina, Kansas, Kentucky. You're going to see everybody win now. You know, it's just the way it is. I mean, who wins? I got to pull for Connecticut. I'm a Big East guy. I know, you know, the great story would be FAU, but Big East. Let's go Connecticut. UConn all the way. Even though they left us, they came back. They don't know what they want to do. They're with us right now, so I'm going with them.
What about you, Candy?
So let me say that Will Vogel says, how cool would it to see FAU win it because a Division II school, Nova Southeast, won their championship, so both a D1 and D2 would win a national championship. The other thing is you have to remember that Conference USA has been really represented between NIT and the NC2A. I would love to see FAU win. They're in my backyard. I've gone to games there. I cover their football team on a regular basis, but it's exciting to be down here in South Florida, Miami and FAU. And the fact that the women from Miami and the men both made the Elite Eight, the first time a school has had that kind of representation, is awesome. Do I think they can beat UConn? They look tough. They really look tough. I guess I'm glad that FAU drew San Diego State because I think they have a better chance against them in this round. I really do. I mean, the book it's a 2-point favorite they have right now. They're thinking San Diego State's a 2-point favorite over FAU. But I give FAU a lot of credit. I can tell you they had media day yesterday on campus, and this morning they left for West Palm Beach International, and I can tell you they had a big celebration before, a big send-off. They were talking about it on the radio this morning. So good luck to FAU.
Yeah, I have allegiances to both school, Miami and FAU. I'd love to see an FAU-Miami game on Monday night. Nance's last hurrah will definitely be there. But I was over at Dusty May's press conference, got a handful of questions, which I think was really great. And one of them, well, believe it or not, was the one that you just talked about, the fact you have Miami and FAU. And I did ask him that very question, and he said, they did scrimmage Nova University this year, so he's had an opportunity to go ahead, and he knows how tough Nova is. So I have allegiances to both of them. I'm wearing a South Florida Tribune cap tonight because I didn't want to be partial towards Miami or FAU, but my time to get to know Dusty May was great, and this guy is unbelievable with the job that he's done to turn the program around. And bear in mind, this is a program that has actually gone out there and had Rex Walters, Mike Jarvis as their past coaches. And Dusty May has done a remarkable job, and I'll get to that more later on. So I'd like to see an FAU Miami final. And you know what? Whatever team wins there, I'm okay, as long as the area that we live in, South Florida, emerges as a national champion. Is that a cop-out? Yeah, maybe. But when you have a relationship with both schools and they treat you both well, then there's no way I can lose with that final. So I'll be the one that takes the easy one out of this one and say, if it's an all-South Florida event on the biggest stage in college basketball, enjoy it, jimnantz. I'm sure you never thought this would be your going-out party for sure. So good stuff. All right, well, let's talk about the NFL. NFL owners to decide on flex scheduling for Thursday Night Football. Well, they've actually decided to put the move on hold. So I'm going to ask you, Rick, is it a good move to put Thursday Night Football on Amazon flex scheduling on hold? What do you think?
Yeah, I mean, the Amazon games were garbage. I mean, who wants to see Denver versus the Raiders? I mean, they were like the most awful games you wanted to see. I can't get into Amazon. I mean, I'm just not. I mean, what's next? I'm sure they'll have YouTube and Facebook. Can you imagine Snapchat? Can you imagine watching football on Snapchat now? So, and the Thursday night games, they're not very popular. I mean, J.J. Watt just said why they're not any good. And I agree with them. Nobody likes them, and they're usually bad. So I'm glad they put them on hold.
Well, they're putting them on hold in terms of flex scheduling, Rick, is what they're talking about. That I just want to make sure I clarify that. Flex scheduling is the key. So I think they're going to have to table that a little while so they do a little bit more. I think there's concerns with travel at the last minute and all that. So, but I'll get into that when I finish up. What do you think, Jacob? Should they implement the move right away, or should they put it on hold?
Oh, good God. Table it for good. No way. It's like flex scheduling, you're looking at something like this with a Thursday night. Take a look at this part. You got basically a few teams have got 2 weeks where they have short weeks.
Right.
Short weeks. And it's like, and it's one of those, that's going to cause injuries. And I'm talking about injuries, I brought this up about Will Levis, and he's got this big bodybuilder deal. He's got the big bodybuilder body. He's going to tear himself up the first couple weeks of the year. Well, that's the point I'm saying is like, especially if they have the flex scheduling, there would be no question they will. More of these people will do that. More of these players will tear themselves up doing that because it's such a different thing. But by itself, you cannot have 2 days of practice and be able to do this kind of thing. It's just a bad idea. I like Amazon, but so many Thursday night games are just miserable. They might as well just end it, period.
Well, what I've heard about the subject is they have some things to think about. So instead of going a few days, what they would have to do is schedule a team for maybe 2 successive Thursdays and give them a bye week. I think that's what they have to try to do to prevent the injury situation. That's why they're putting it on hold so they can rethink the safest way to go about doing it. I just want to let you know.
The only reason Thursdays are there, truthfully, and I really believe this, is for fantasy football to start it early.
Right. Okay. All right, JB, what do you think?
So you guys are killing me and making me laugh over here. The NFL's worried about safety.
Yeah.
I'm not buying that one.
No,
the NFL's worried. The NFL's worried about the almighty dollar.
Mm-hmm.
They don't care who gets hurt. Yes, they put on the great face, roughing the passer. You can't fall on them all of a sudden. Which is a football play, but we'll get to that another day. But it's not about safety. Logistically, it's too much. This is a South Florida show. Look at what happened with Miami and Tua. He got hurt on Sunday. I don't know. They say it's not a concussion. It was his back. Either way, whatever injury it was, there was no reason to play him on a Thursday after he got hurt on Sunday. They rushed him back, and he got even more hurt. And that's the problem. You're going to have teams that aren't sure what their schedule is going to be, how to work for different things. It's a tough thing to flex. I don't like the idea at all. The only way I say you're able to do it, you'd have to flex it about 3 weeks early so that teams have a chance to prepare and at least figure out what to do with everything as far as all the logistics of injuries, travel, and all of that. And it's a tough thing. I'd rather them flex the Monday night games throughout the season, Sunday night and Monday night, and just leave Thursday. It's on Amazon anyway. I'm not paying for Amazon until they sponsor you and they sponsor me. Until then, F Amazon. And Thursday Night Football, oh, well, I'll see the box score on Friday morning. I'm not really too concerned.
Okay, fair enough. All right, Candy.
Okay, so look, yes, injuries, but injuries aside, as a fan of the game, if I want to go to an out of town, I want to see one of my teams play out of town, you're going to flex it now? Now I've got to take more time off from work, or I've got to rearrange schedules. I've got to arrange, let's say you're a family, you need babysitters, you got to arrange that. Let's say you're somebody, my dad did this. My dad was an usher for Major League Baseball team. But if you're an usher for one of the teams at one of the stadiums, let's say you have a day job during the week. Now all of a sudden, because and a lot of the NFL refs also had full-time jobs, and now all of a sudden they've got to change their schedule and get off so they can fly out to be necessarily in a spot on a Thursday night. It's not just the players. Yes, the players, they play on a short week, then typically they have a long week afterwards, so they have more recovery time. But you have to think about all the logistics. It doesn't just affect players. It affects fans. It affects all the workers that work in the stadiums, all of that. It's not just players. And I think the NFL owners need, and maybe that's why they paused it, I don't know, but they really need to think that through as to a family that wants to plan a vacation and go see them. If you're going to flex it, they might now not be able to see that game because they can't afford to take off. That's my 2 cents.
All right. Well, the reality is the Thursday games have been here a long time anyway. When you factor in Thanksgiving, okay, Thanksgiving and Thursday football has always been a tradition. I hated to see them take them off Fox and NBC on Thursday. as well as the NFL Network. Instead of go to Amazon, I understand they got a lot of money for it, and streaming is definitely in the cards. So the only way I understand that they do have to really think this thing through in terms of 7. I don't have a problem with the Thursday night situation, okay? Only if it's 7, and they give them a bye. That would be the only way that I can handle it from a safety standpoint. But yeah, they do have to really, again, ideas, I don't talk politics, but, sometimes you create an idea, it turns into a bill and a law. There's a process in terms of how the NFL is going to have to think about doing it for the safety of the players as well. And yeah, travel is going to come into consideration anyhow, but there's got to be a way to get rid of these awful games, or they're not going to be anything, and you're going to lose money and advertisers because people aren't going to be watching the entire time. They're just not going to do it. So I like the idea of flex scheduling anytime. Think about the Detroit Lions, and even on primetime TV last year until the final week of the year against the Green Bay Packers, and they did it on Sunday. And I think every team should have an opportunity to get on national television at least once or twice a year, because you don't know where some of these teams are going to be from the year before anyhow. I'm not, the Lions obviously are playing their way back on national TV, and they always get their Thursday Thanksgiving. But I think that the Thursday night slot should, think about it. I went to a game on Candy's birthday, and I'll never forget, her mom's passes away, and the Lions lose on a Hail Mary from Rodgers. And I'm thinking, the year her mom passes, I hated to see the Lions lose. I saw and predicted the outcome of this thing. Then I told George Eichhorn, I have a feeling something bad's going to happen. And what do you think happened? The Packers did. I said, much I hate to see the Lions lose, I'm happy for Candy that her first trip to Ford Field, it was a good one. And yet they'll show that when they preview the Thursday game, but the team's not even on national TV the following year. So go figure. I think they have to think it through a lot more. You do need to improve the competitiveness of the games. And if you don't, to me, Thursdays are going to be useless. So we'll see how it plays out. And when they make a decision, I'll reintroduce this topic again based on what I have. Final topic of the night before we go to Sports On. Tom Brady joins the ownership group of the WNBA's Las Vegas Aces. All right, Rick, you used to live in Vegas. What do you think Tom Brady getting involved with the women's game? Once upon a time, Bill Laimbeer left the NBA when he retired and made a new life for himself in the WNBA. But Tom Brady, the Las Vegas Aces, what do you think, Rick?
Yeah, why not? Why not be an owner? Las Vegas, he's a single guy now. I lived there for 5 years. It was fun. He wants to get his hands and get into ownership. I think he'll get into like a football, maybe a baseball team eventually. So I think that's what he wants. He wants to get into some type of ownership. Why not start out with the WNBA? They're a very popular team. They just won the championship. It's in Sin City. And I think that that's going to start off other bigger things like a football team, a baseball, maybe a basketball team. Maybe he'll join an ownership to bring the NBA to Las Vegas. I don't know. So good for him. Why not? He's retired. He's got trillions of dollars. He's single. Why not?
What do you think, Jacob?
Oh, yeah. You got to realize Patrick Mahomes has a partial ownership in the NWSL, the soccer team. A lot of this stuff is going to keep happening with these athletes. Women's sports. I brought this up on Pundit by itself that the Iowa game is that the Iowa game, the Iowa women's game got more viewers on ESPN than any of the NBA games this year. They're getting bigger. Women's sports is getting bigger. I'm not going to say it's going to be in the NFL football level, but it didn't used to do all this. Now they're getting legitimate promotion, and it's a legitimate promotion. You're seeing what's happening. Everybody's paying. They're getting their money on it. They're getting their money's worth for this. But now you're going to see more of these athletes do this. More of them. I see it on the Front Office Sports. I see it on Sportico. I see it on all these. This is going to keep happening. And yeah, this might be a start, but you want to know what this is going to be a comparison with. It's going to be Magic Johnson. He's going to be the Magic Johnson of this era, where he's going to get to the point where he's going to keep owning things. owning teams, just building into everything. He's going to be huge in the business. His Brady clothing line is going to get bigger. So the sky's going to be the limit. Now, as Rick said, he's single.
Okay. What do you think, JB?
Listen, good for him. He saw a chance to, put his money into ownership of a team. The WNBA is a great product. I think that's a great investment for him. He's got a boatload of money. What better way to make money than invest in a league that has a great product? So I think it's a phenomenal move. The WNBA is a top-notch league. It's only getting better. It's been around for a while. Like Jacob said, Patrick Mahomes, went out and bought parts of some franchises. And these guys have a lot of money. They're looking to set themselves up for their future. They have more money than they could possibly spend as well. So this is part of what you do when you have that kind of money. You invest in organizations and businesses and teams. And, I'm sure his financial planners thought it was a great move. And good luck to him. Hopefully the Aces do well for him. Tom Brady can get some WNBA rings to go with his, Super Bowl rings. He'll have 55 rings before he's done.
Andy?
Tom Brady, after his divorce, is worth $333 million.
I like those numbers.
I figured you would.
It was probably 666 before it. No.
What is he going to do with all that money? Like, he doesn't need all that money. You don't put that in a bank. You don't put it in the stock market. You might as well invest it. Part of investing is putting it in places that you think could use it and will help you build, because let's face it, he has kids that he wants to provide for. Not that $333 million isn't enough to provide for your kids, but invest in things that you believe in. He said he did it. He used to have an older sister that played, and he loved going to games and watching it. So good for him. Good for him to invest it in places that he thinks will be beneficial. And you can't knock putting him in women's sports. Yes, they haven't drawn like the men have, but they're increasing in popularity. So good for him. And good for the Aces, because they could use it too.
All right. I'll tell you what. Tom Brady has a job in about a year called Fox Sports. Be an analyst, be another $37 million in his pocket, just so you know. And I like to move to the Aces, but you know where this is really going to lead that you guys, none of you all mentioned? He's going to be involved. Mark Davis owns the Aces, right? He'll be a part of the Raiders ownership group before it's all said and done. You build a relationship with Mark Davis, you end up with the Raiders. That's all there is to it. And I think he's going to have a much bigger role. And this is just him getting familiar with the ownership side. But watch, I say within 2, 3, 4 years that Tom Brady will, I don't know if he'll be a general manager, but a part owner, but he'll be a heavy part of the Las Vegas Raiders going forward. That's what I have to think about that. So we'll see. Happy for Tom. Becky Hammond, obviously a great coach there. They're building something good in Las Vegas. The only thing missing really basically is an NBA team, MLB. It's a matter of time before one or both of those plays out. All right, we'll move over to the sports center of the week, one that Jacob Christner is all too familiar with. But you know what? Here's what I'm going to do. I've got 3 points. I've got 3 questions to each and every one of you, and we'll stay with it. And then you can also put it on a scale of 1 to 10. I don't want to sit here and get into 9 million different things and not get to confidential. So I decided to limit this topic to 3. All right, number 1. Did the Atlanta Braves, and we'll start with you, Jacob, make a good move going to the suburbs?
Yes. Oh, yeah. Absolutely. Okay. I've lived here 18 years. It is it is completely better. And it's like, I mean, mind you, the parking's still tougher and everything like that, but just the area you're in, it's just, I'm just being honest, it's safer. It's safer to do it. You're not walking toward MARTA. You're not dealing with all that. So it's absolutely.
All right. And then everybody else can just comment 1 to 10, okay, because we have parting shots. Second question, thoughts about Turnerfield becoming home of Georgia State football?
Should have been Georgia Tech. It should have been Georgia Tech. It should have been any of these. I mean, they should have taken it, but it's good to have it for Georgia State. I drive by it all the time. But it should have been Georgia Tech. They should have, for one thing, they need a much bigger stadium. So that was a missed opportunity.
Well, 30. I think the place holds 30,000, so I think it's enough for them to certainly
Well,
compete.
they just even if they want the same amount of people by itself, it's a nicer park than Georgia Tech has, so they could have used it.
Okay, that's fine. That's fair. All right, and the last question: everybody gets a rating a 1 to 10, and just give me a brief overview of what you think of it. Will the NHL ever return for a third attempt? You had the Atlanta Flames at one point, became the Calgary Flames. The Atlanta Thrashers became the Winnipeg Jets. And I have a feeling that Gary Bettman would like to have a team there, but obviously you don't want 3 strikes and you're out. But I think they're intrigued with the Atlanta market. Jacob?
I don't want it. I've been here when they were here and stuff like that. They just don't. The only time they really had any kind of interest, one of the times that they made the playoffs and they got swept by the Rangers. It's not a hockey town. It really, truthfully, about the sports here in Atlanta, if there's not pure winning going on, they're gone in the third quarter. They're gone in the 6th inning. They leave. That's what fans do here. And I'm not doing it on the thing. They've done this all of our times. Unless you get the 90s, you get Deion Sanders and then Andre Rison and all them. They leave in the 6th inning. You've got to keep their interest. No, this is the Thrashers. They'll be gone again.
All right, well, let me give you a little trivia here. Back in the 70s, the Atlanta Flames were swept by the Detroit Red Wings, and Bill Lahead scored the 2 winning goals there. So obviously the Red Wings had the Flames number in Atlanta, and of course now you just mentioned this as well. So yeah, good stuff here, Will, because you're obviously going to try to steal my thunder. So I'm going to go around the horn with this on a scale of 1 to 10, okay? On a scale of 1 to 10, Jacob, where does Atlanta stand?
5 because of what I said.
All right, Rick Curdy.
You said that's what I'm going to say.
All right, Rick Curdy.
A hockey team in Atlanta, I give it a 2. It's not going to work. 3 strikes and you're out.
All right, but do you think that? Give me on a scale of 1 to 10, where do you think Rick Atlanta fares as a whole?
For like a sports area?
Yeah, sports town, correct.
I give it a 6. I agree with Jacob. They're kind of like in Charlotte. They're nobody's. They're kind of like fair weather fans, and if they do really great, they'll stay, and if they don't, they'll leave.
JB, 1 to 10.
I'd say 6.5. They're
Why?
They're there when they win. They're not there when they lose. They've lost 2 hockey teams. I don't feel that they support the Hawks enough. They just seem like fair weather fans, that have beautiful facilities, and they just, they'd rather do other things than support losing teams.
Okay, Candy.
I'm going to say 7 because they're one of 14 cities that actually have 4 major sports in them. They have NBA, they have NFL, they have MLB, and they have soccer. So they actually have 4 out of them. Yes, are they fair weather fans? Yes, I would agree with that. But is that because of the fact that they're the lack of winning that most of those teams have put on the field or on the court? I think they need to support their teams more by getting better players, a better quality product. And then I think the fans would be there more.
Will Vogel gives them a 7. I'll tell you what, I'm going to give them a 6. The Braves, obviously, championship-wise, I think they've won at least 2 that I'm aware of in Atlanta, and I'm really pleased with the support the soccer team is getting. The winter sports, obviously, they failed twice in the NHL, and the Atlanta Falcons don't have a Super Bowl championship. I did see them playing Super Bowl 33, and I know they made an appearance there. And the Hawks, well, I don't think they won a championship, I think, since the St. Louis Hawks, if I remember right. And many years ago, the Milwaukee Braves won a championship, but it didn't carry over to the Atlanta Braves. And at least Milwaukee gets that Braves championship. So, you know what? I'll give it a 6 and call it a day on that. So, all right, now what we're going to do is we're going to go to our parting shots. We'll let the sideline people go first. Okay, to make sure that there's ample time. In this particular parting shots, nobody comments on everybody. Just take it. It's all yours. Jacob, lead off.
I'm going to go into a Justin Fields deal, but I'm going to be a little nicer this time on this. I just want to explain to people why I get so mad at all this. It's because we're into a third season right now, and with the Justin Fields, I'm going to explain why I'm mad. If he doesn't play his first year, then he starts 3-14. 3-14 he starts, and then they can start and then get their first round draft pick, and then you have all, especially with the 1,000 yards as a rusher, you have all this. But then you all wanted him to break all of Mitch Trubisky's rookie records and all this kind of stuff and get all the selfish. And he had a terrible rookie year, horrible. And then he had to add 2-8 with it. He's 5-20. This is the issue where I'm mad at, because you forced him in and you wanted it so badly. Next year, there's nothing on the books. If he has another bad year and you through, and I hope he has a good year and proves me wrong. If he has another bad year, there's nothing on the books that they can do, and they can do whatever they want to do with him. And another bad year, they're not going to take another shot at him. They're not going to do this. This is a new GM, a new front office. They will get this. They will get their own person. And it's like, and I like Justin Fields as a competitor. He's a good kid. Good kid, well-behaved. He also works his tail off. But when you're forcing something in with him and you do this without using your head, things like this happen, and then you cry and complain. Oh my God, we didn't give him a chance. Everything. Yeah, you could have just had a little more patience, a little more, and then they would have and stuff like that. Especially with this first round draft pick, with bringing it down and having all this talent and all these draft picks and everything, and Poles is doing a wonderful job. But he's got now, because of you guys forcing him, he's got one chance. One. Because there's nothing on the books for the next year to have to get that if they would let him go. So you could have done better. So just have some, for future fans, have a little bit of patience and understand what the business side is, so you can save it. You can have what the Kansas City has. And they sat Mahomes, and they could have had that. You could have had this with Fields.
All right. Before I turn over to JB, I should let everybody know that the audio version of Sports Exchange can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you get your podcast. So please hit the red subscribe button. On YouTube, South Florida Tribune. We're striving for 1,000 subscribers. Everyone counts. We appreciate you very much. Also, please comment, like, and share the broadcast. Want to be a guest? No problem. Send topic ideas to southfloridatribune@gmail.com. And if you want to advertise, call me at 954-304-4941. We are live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. All right, your parting shot, Mr. Ellis.
When we wake up tomorrow, spring is here. Doesn't matter if it's 30 degrees, if it's snowing. Doesn't matter about anything. The baseball season starts way too early, but it's going to start tomorrow. Going to have games in cold weather places, Chicago where there was snow today, New York. The Yankees, I believe, are opening up against the San Francisco Giants. Don't explain to me how that's baseball, because that's, there's no natural rivalry since San Francisco moved to San Francisco from the Polo Grounds many years ago. I don't know what type of baseball it is anymore, but there'll be baseball tomorrow, and I'm excited for it because it's going to be a long summer. The weather's going to finally change, and this is the thing that makes you start to realize we're in spring. It's going to get nice out. We're going to get to enjoy going outside, the beach, the parks, the lakes. And while we're doing that, there's a pitch clock, a guy starting on second base in extra innings, and don't throw to first base more than twice. I'm done.
All right, Rick, parting shots.
Lamar Jackson, a little bit of advice for you. You should have gotten an agent. Stop being your own agent. Look what you've done. You always hear about teams wanting quarterbacks. I'm hearing teams that don't want you. The Panthers don't want you. The Texans don't want you. Nobody wants you. You overbid yourself. I wish these players would stop looking at what other players get, and like with Deshaun Watson. If the Browns are that stupid to give a guy all that money with 27 sex allegations, knowing he might not play that year, that's their stupidity. They're the Browns. The Giants, if they want to give Daniel Jones all that money when he hasn't even thrown 20 touchdowns this season, that's their dumbness. They need to stop doing that. Lamar, you're not all that. You had a great, you won the Heisman, you won MVP, but you're not good in the playoffs. You're injury prone now. Your knees are bad. And now you're going on Twitter doing these rampages, makes you look bad. Some will eventually get him, but he's not going to get the money that he thinks that he deserves. So Lamar Jackson needs to blame Lamar Jackson on this, and he should have gotten an agent.
All right, Candy, parting shot.
Greg Gard, you were out-coached last night. The Wisconsin Badgers were playing in the semifinals of the NIT. They were up 41-29 at halftime. They scored a measly 13 points in the second half to lose 56-54. The last 9 minutes of the game, Wisconsin did not make a basket, not one. So tell me how you weren't out-coached. They switched who they were defending, putting on Chucky Hepburn, one of the lead scorers, and then he didn't have a basket the whole second half. Your team tried to shoot three-pointers. They didn't have the confidence. You needed to draw up a play, tell them drive to the lane. I realize you don't score lots as Wisconsin. They have been up and down all year. But there are certain shots that are definitely way more high percentage, and you weren't taking them in the last 9 minutes, and that's what you needed to. So, Greg Gard, you were out-coached completely last night.
Fair enough. Well, my parting shot really relates to what we talked about at the top of the broadcast, Florida Atlantic University. I was at the media availability for dustymay, and if there's ever a guy you're rooting for to win it, this guy is it. But here's the situation, okay? And I'm looking forward to having Mike Jarvis on Sports Exchange on Saturday, a special edition. We'll go out there and confirm everything when it's up there. Just a little thing to throw out there. FAU basketball is a 2,900-seat gym. Now, that's all well and good. But if FAU needs to get a marquee opponent, I would strongly advise them to play in the Florida Live Arena and use the Panthers facility for marquee matchups like the Blue Bloods. Dustymay has done a lot with nothing. He really has. He was even hesitant when he took the job. He thought it was career suicide to take the job, but his wife and a lot of people said it's okay, take it anyways. And once this guy put his foot on the gas, they upgraded the facilities a little bit to get it a little bit better. But here's the thing. Dustymay, as I said, has done a lot with nothing, but other coaches like Mike Jarvis and Rex Walters struggle with this program. They really did. I hope and pray that Dustymay gets a statue in front of a building of some kind. FAU's baseball stadium is awful, okay? I did once see a marquee matchup between FAU and North Carolina, and you put this in a 3,000 to 5,000 seat arena, and who knows how much better FAU baseball could be. My good friend, I'm drawing a name, Coach Kevin Cooney, did wonders with the program, and he's always said one of the reasons that bothered him about FAU is that FAU baseball always was put on the back burner. So what they need to do is they need to get the basketball arena up to standards, and they need to get the baseball stadium up to standards. And then I'll start returning to those other sports. The football stadium is fine, a 30,000 seat, and I hope the emergence of Tom Herman will be better. But you know what, Dustymay, I know that you'll be glad when this tournament is over. And as much as most people would like to see this guy remain at FAU, my prediction is that Dustymay is going to take a bigger and better job. And if you can win at Florida Atlantic University, a school that's moving on from Conference USA to the American Athletic Conference, more power to them. So, yeah, Dustymay, I hope you do well. But FAU, in the end, you need to make sure that all three of your major sports have excellent facilities. So, what a great show tonight. Really, really enjoyed everything that we've been trying to put together. So, to me, I think we covered a lot of ground. And any closing thoughts, Candy?
No, I mean, I just to enjoy the Final Four, enjoy the welcoming 3 newbies to the Final Four, and enjoy the basketball and enjoy opening day.
Okay, what about you,
Anytime.
JB? Any closing quick thoughts, JB?
Yeah, I'm just waiting for another disappointing baseball season because the Yankees haven't done enough to win the World Series. They're going to make the playoffs. It's just going to be the same thing over again. So talk to me in October, and I'll tell you why we didn't win again.
Although I will say I am intrigued by the Giants and the Yankees as an opening weekend matchup, knowing full well that the two are only a mile and a half away, but we'll leave it at that. Jacob, any closing thoughts?
Thank you, JB, for Javis Italian. Love it. That'll be a number 3, a necessary number 3 on that team, 14-5. Gonna love that, and I can also have fun when you get mad at Garrett Cole, even though he'll win 16 probably.
Any closing thoughts, Rick?
No, like I said, we don't have Major League Baseball yet. So opening day for me will be Friday. Charlotte Knights will be playing here in Charlotte. So I'll be rooting for them. But, of course, my ultimate thing is MLB in Charlotte.
Okay, well, with that said, I'll go around the horn one more time, let everybody know how they get a hold of themselves. Confidential coming up very, very shortly. Rick, let everybody know how they get a hold of you.
You can find me on my website, www.charlottebats.com. Please go on there, sign a petition. We want to bring Major League Baseball to Charlotte, North Carolina. I'm on Facebook at Charlotte MLB, Charlotte Bats Baseball. I'm on Instagram at Charlotte Bats, Twitter Charlotte Bats Baseball, and I'm on LinkedIn under Rick Curdy, and my email address is cltbatsbaseball@gmail.com.
Jacob?
Well, I'm doing so much right now that I'll be starting a website called lasvegasbats.com. No. No, very Sunday nights, Sunday nights Basket Bros. Monday nights Pundit Views, and this Monday night's gonna be Troy Geary. Wednesday nights the 3 shows. Pundits Pundit, this one, and Confidential. Thursday nights off of Sideline Sports is it's Yin and Yang. Once in a while, Friday's a gauntlet when they need me, and then back and forth.
And I'm glad that I'm with you on Pundit Basket Bros as well. That's pretty fun stuff.
Yes.
All right,
awesome.
JB, let everybody know how they get a hold of you.
JB_the program on Twitter. The Abigail TV station is being built for Sideline Sports now 24/7. You'll get to watch this show and all the other Sideline Sports shows on there. Make sure you download it on the Roku app. We're also on DBTV for Sideline Sports. Got Confidential coming up in 9 minutes. Opening day tomorrow. Got a lot to talk about.
All right, Candy, take us home.
So if you like this program or any of our other programs, there's a red subscribe button in the lower right-hand corner. Hit it, like it, share it with all your friends. Head over to Sideline and go to Confidential. We're going to preview, and yes, my Milwaukee Brewers are going to open the season against the Cubs. So we're going to talk a little bit of smack tonight, I think. You're live on Facebook, LinkedIn, Twitter, and YouTube. If you want to advertise or sponsor a show, call Scott, 954-304-4941. You can email us at southfloridatribune@gmail.com. Check out our website, www.southfloridatribune.com. If you like to hear our broadcasts, they can be heard on iHeartRadio, Apple, Spotify, Google, or wherever you get your podcasts. Scott?
All right, well, that wraps up the Wednesday edition of the Sports Exchange. So on behalf of Candy Edling, JB Ellis, Jacob Crisser, Rick Curdy, a.k.a. Mr. Opinion, my name is Scott Morgan, Roth, the Motor City Madmouth. Thank you for joining us on this edition of the Sports Exchange. We have a couple shows tomorrow night. Got Sports Exchange and Inside the Pigskin as well. So meanwhile, once again, great job by my crew, and we look forward to seeing y'all next Wednesday night. Good night, everybody.
Good night.
Good night.
Good night.